What do you think is the likelihood of getting 600,000 barrels a day? Do you think it could be even more than that, like Russia, like Saudi Arabia want?
Yeah, well, our team actually was fortunate to present at OPEC seminar in Vienna just the other day, and it seems to us at least consensus of an additional 500,000 barrels per day added to the market, and it feels as if there'll be more of production sort of on aggregate as opposed to individual targets being outlined. So I think, you know, what the comments you just saw there, around 500,000 to maybe 1 million barrels per day, seems sort of now being sort of consensus.
All right, hop into the Bloomberg, guys, because I want to show you this GTV library as we're having this discussion. If we do get 500,000 barrels a day, that'll take us within this little range that you can see right here on the right-hand side. Earlier, Russia has said that they want to get it back to this range, which is in the red dotted line, 34 million barrels or so. But it looks like it's going to be more like this. Scott, in terms of the effect on oil prices, we've already seen that come off over the past couple days. Further depression in prices moving ahead then?
Yeah, we'd agree with that. I mean, we did an update recently and we didn't change our price forecast. So on average, we're around $69 Brent this year. Next year, we're forecasting $63 Brent on average. JPMorgan equity analysts all use for their long-run oil price $55, and that's sort of predicated on our detailed sort of global cash break-even analysis, where we looked at really all individual companies, whether it's international oil companies, OPEC countries, etc., which suggests sort of cash break-even for producers and companies is anywhere from sort of $50 to $60 Brent, and we stand by that.
All right. Looking ahead to the second half here, demand growth. There have been a lot of different analyses figuring out where this is going to be going in terms of trying to possibly prop up the price or not. What are your expectations?
Well, it's a very interesting question. If you look at the data, certainly for an analyst like ourselves over here, I've got really no evidence as yet to see sort of demand destruction to the higher prices we've had. I mean, if you just look at the recent apparent oil product demand growth in China, for example, we're up year to date at 7%. Now, our forecast is around sort of 3 to 4%. I don't really see it yet. I mean, we're certainly watching the data. I think we're in the US driving season. I think obviously watching gasoline demand growth as we go week on week, month on month. But at the moment, there's not really any evidence to suggest there is actually some demand moderation. And indeed, we haven't materially changed sort of our demand forecasts.
Yeah, you would think 65 is still pretty low compared to what others were forecasting of 80 just a couple of weeks ago when we last talked, Scott. So are you saying that perhaps that we are going to reach a compromise, that you think the Iranians are going to give in essentially at the end of all this?
I think it seems as if that consensus will be something like this, where if you have production on an aggregate basis, then it's possibly Saudi and Russia actually starting to increase production. So overall, you still get some kind of increase which is acceptable to all members.